in your email, you had talked about your husband and how you've been together for 8 years, and there's been kind of an evolution of addiction.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
this
that's a good word for it.
Psychotropic presents Wolf?
My husband was living at a friend's house. He'd been out of prison for a couple months, needed a couch to crash on. I was going to college, and that was my friend in college. He was living there, and we could go to her house to study. He was come and go, and I wasn't really attracted to him, and he didn't really say much. As the couple months went by, we had my birthday party, and then for New Year's, he offered to get us Molly. And I was like, oh, I've always been interested. Like, that's something that's really, piqued my interest. So I'm cool. Let's go do that. And so we all took some for New Year's, and it was amazing. And, it opened up my feelings, and we finally had a conversation, and we're like, you know what, we're pretty interested in each other after getting to know each other for a couple months. And then so he basically moved in with me, and it just kind of gone off from there. He was dealing weed when we met, and I was kind of okay with that. I'm pretty straight, I guess, when it comes to staying out of trouble. So that was a new world, and it was exciting and something I was really interested in, and yet it scared me to death. But he taught me how to do that on, very basic level about income and what goes out. But we ended up getting an apartment the following year. And during that time, it was pretty rough. He does have PTSD, which was only diagnosed 2 years ago. I think he struggles with that a lot, which is why the weed came into play. He smokes it to lessen those symptoms. And we had never talked about why, we just thought it was just someone having a good time all the time. But he says it calms his nerves, and I was okay with that. I'd never really been around it, and I can see the benefit to it. That was before all the legalization and everything was exploding. But he introduced me to, I was trying to remember the name of it. It was like fake cocaine. And it was this pink powder that we would just buy at the convenience store. And it was just the weirdest. It would give you energy. It tasted awful. But we did that a little bit, and then we got the apartment. We continued with the pink powder, and then that, went away, became illegal, whatever it was. Have no idea. And then we just kind of stuck to weed, and we've ended up finding our own place 3 years ago, I think now. I bought a house. Something that we really pushed for, to have a place of our own, because no one really put up with the weed. My mom didn't like it at her house. We had a roommate. They didn't like it at the apartment. And we just finally need a place of our own. So we went and did that. And it's just kind of, I'd say it's gone downhill. I think it was that summer he had a really big breakdown. We've gotten into fights and arguments, but this was one that was very uncontrolled. I got so scared that I did call the police. That had to have been the second summer we were there. I had called his friend over that we had met, and his friend and him go way, way back. I guess at one point in their lives they were dealing cocaine, and he went to jail, and he went to prison, and they have finally met back up, and they're like, oh my gosh, we still live in the same town. But anyways, my husband had this big mental breakdown. I had his friend come over, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I was scared for my life. He was throwing things, smashing things, punching holes in walls. His friend came over, couldn't subdue him, so he left. I ended up calling the police, and by the time they showed up, I had barricaded myself in the room. They showed up. He had calmed down. I did talk to them. We got some local resources to use, but he has this big stigma on the mental health system of our country, and I get it. So he didn't want to go to any of those people. He didn't want to be admitted. He didn't want to be put away for the rest of his life, which is his big fear. So I told him, we have to do something. So I took him to a psychologist. He thought he had multiple personality disorder or schizophrenia. She's like, I don't think you have these. You have PTSD. He grew up in gangs and with gun violence. She's like, I think this is just something that happened. So from there, it's really helped us understand what's going on, why he gets the way he gets, and why weed helps. He tried medications, and that just, he doesn't like, he doesn't like taking the medications. It makes him too dull, just kind of zoned out. And that's not what he wants to be. He wants to be up and active, but himself. With the new friend coming in, cocaine has become a bigger thing in our lives. At first it was like, oh, this is cool, official cocaine, never had that. I loved it. It's great. You get up, you do things. It was a nice treat on the weekends. It wasn't terribly expensive because money is always tight. And then it just, it was cocaine every weekend. It was cocaine maybe, Thursday night or something. And then that following year, his birthday came along and all of his friends came over, and it's just a plate of cocaine. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen this in my life. I didn't ever want to see that in my life. And I just went to bed. I was like, I am not dealing with this. Alcohol has been a big thing that's been happening as well. If he's not getting high because we can't find weed, or he's not getting high because we can't find cocaine, it's, a 6-pack or a 12-pack of beer almost every night. I don't like drinking. I have alcoholism in my family. It scares me. People change, and that's crazy that you would willingly drink that. It's legal. But I don't like that in the house as well. But with the plate of cocaine being passed around from person to person in my house, that I worked really hard to get to. My husband worked hard, but it's in my name. I had to go through all the steps because he's a felon. He didn't want, anything to happen or be denied because of that history of his. And I was just like, I can't handle this. And since then, it's, like I said, it's almost every weekend, and it makes him upset and sad, and he gets so wound up. He plays this game on his phone, and that's all he does. He'll sit there on the couch and just plays this game for hours, and then he can't go to sleep, which makes him emotionally upset, where he's crying to me that he wants to stop. And I say, okay, well, we can go back to the psychologist. We can get we can go to NA meetings. Like, I'll go with you. That is fine. Even AA meetings. And he refuses to do that. And he doesn't think he can talk to me about some of his problems because I don't have that history. I was a, goody two-shoes little kid. And all of this is new for me. I don't know how to coach somebody through that. So he confides in this friend that he reconnected with. But everyone has their own problems. His friend's going through something else. So he's not available all the time. And it's just, I think he's resorting back to cocaine to try to get high, or he's seeking that different feeling and he's not getting it. So it makes him frustrated, or it makes him really depressed and down and sad. And right now it's winter and we're cold and we both hate the cold. And of course, so it all just piles up. But, I tell him I'll take your debit card. I'll take your money. Like, what can I do to help you through this? Because I work 2 jobs. I can't be home all the time. We just bought cars that have payments now. And I'm just like, we kind of need to keep that financial stability. And you go and you spend money on something that you're not enjoying. I think drugs, are something that people should enjoy, be responsible about them. But he's crossed that line of being responsible, and that's where it's hurts, and it's starting, it's emotionally hurtful to me to see him be in pain. And I'm so exhausted through the day. I sometimes don't even want to deal with it. I just want to be like, you know what? Go away. Like, go sit in the living room. I don't really want you here right now. But I don't feel like I can do that. So I try to help him as most as I can. And like, I had emailed you that one night. He was sitting at my feet. It's midnight. He has to be up at 7:00 in the morning, and he's high on cocaine. And I don't know what to do for him, because, we go lay down and he once again gets emotional and, please don't let me do this. I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to get help, because he doesn't want help. We continue having that conversation every so often, like, go talk to somebody. I don't care if it's just a counselor, just go. But he's too scared that he'll say something wrong and then be put away for the rest of his life in some kind of, psych ward, or get in trouble, admitting that you're doing drugs. That's something else, hard to do to even, a professional, even a medical professional. You're like, tell everybody you do that.
What does he have outside of cocaine that brings him joy?
We really like to work on cars. He loves his car. Bought him a big old SUV. Loves it to death. And other than family and friends, we don't do much. That's why I said it's winter, it's cold, we don't do a lot of car work, or we don't have money to buy cool car stuff. We're talking about getting new rims, or you get a new exhaust system. And I'm like, great, yeah, that costs $1,000. That's not something that's priority right now. And I think it's just better to, he probably thinks it's better to nickel and dime himself. Well, I can get joy now through cocaine that'll, stimulate what I want. And then you realize you spent $50 or whatever, I don't know what it costs, and you have nothing to show for it. And that was something we talked about last weekend. He's like, oh, I got paid, we paid our bills, and he goes, I've got $50 for gas for the week. I was like, well, what happened to the rest of it? And that's where it's like, well, I bought cocaine and I shared, and it's a financial hurt. But I don't care about that. We catch each other on whatever sides need helped. But it's when I say you spent $50, you enjoyed about an hour and a half of it, and then you're on the come down and you're crying and you're upset and you want it to stop. And that's where I'm just like, you didn't do anything with that money. You just basically might as well just throw it out the window. Or give it to a homeless person. You'd probably enjoy that more. You would. I don't know about the homeless person, but it's just, I guess that's where it hurts the most, being a wife, seeing him in pain and not enjoying that decision. And maybe he is just bored, or we don't do things, but that's by his choice. I ask, can we go see a movie? I ask, can we go out to dinner? Can we go on a road trip or something? And it's no, not this weekend, or I don't feel like it, or it's just, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what he wants to do for fun or to get him excited other than vehicles, working on cars.
What did you like about him when you guys met? Or you said you weren't really attracted to him in the
No,
beginning.
not really.
So what changed? What made you like him?
I guess to me, he's exotic. He's not native to the United States. And, that was something that was different. But it's also his background. Like I said, he grew up on the streets here in America and, learned the gang life. And that's basically what got him in prison. And I think he went through a lot of growth in there, and he got out and he wanted to get straight. He wanted to start a new life. And I have a bleeding heart. I really do. And we talked about a lot of our goals were very similar. We don't want kids. That's something we both agreed upon. And we want to have a house. We want to have a farm. We want to be on our own and not be in society to where you have to act a certain way. And that's something that we both struggled with working, with the public, where, we get in trouble for opening our mouths. That's not appropriate. I'm like, but it's the truth. And we have a really hard time socializing and being part of the norm. And so I think we really connected in that part. And that's why we were so adamant to get our own house, our own place, so we don't have to do what other people say because, it's their home, or, don't be too loud while you're fighting because your roommate might be involved. Or he was just pretty appealing. He encouraged me. He was very supportive. He said, you're interested in cars, go to school for it. Who cares? And I said, you're right. So I did it. He's just been pretty relaxed and, opened a world that I had never seen. And that's very appealing. And now we're opening each other's eyes still. We learn something new every day. It's just something that we still can bond over. He asks a bunch of questions like, what does this word mean, or what does that mean? And I'm like, what? I really don't know. Let's look it up. It's a word we use every day, or we hear it every day, and I still have to look it up. And I think that's something fun, and we giggle about it. And
how do you see the situation panning out?
I don't know. I think it can go two ways. Either he, decides upon himself that what he's doing is harming himself. He missed work Thursday because he decided to stay up late Wednesday, and that, he stayed up till I don't know when. I went to bed, and I just think it's starting to affect his job, and that's where it's getting frustrating. I don't know if he's going to realize that it's messing things up and he's going to lose what's good, his truck, the house, me. But I hope he sees that, and I hope he realizes, it's not just fun and games. Because, I believe you do whatever you want as long as you're good to society and you're not harmful to anybody, and, you're still a member participating. And then, I don't know how to say that, I guess. But when it starts to affect your job and you're not going to work and you're missing hours or staying at home and you're not even doing anything, you're not cleaning, you're not fixing the house. So I don't know where I see it going. Hopefully it goes up and he realizes what he's doing is affecting his life.
Why have you continued to try to work through it?
I think you pick and choose what you can deal with certain people. And we call it our empire. We've built this empire, and you don't just throw something away just because it's a little broken. You try to fix it. And so I've been sticking it out, and he really has improved. He's done great things, from where he started to now. I think everyone keeps improving. That's everybody. We're just trying to work on that together. So I guess it's hard to just throw away something that you've built and you've worked so hard on. And I believe in him. I think he can do things, and I think in the future he'd like to do a marijuana grow op, and I think that would be something that'd be really great because that's what he likes to do. So I've just stuck with it. I try to push his dreams. He pushes my dreams. We're just supportive of each other, and that's very hard to find from where I came from. It was rough, and we found each other, and probably still a little young, but through the years we've grown together, and we've grown more and more in love every day, and that's hard to be like, oh, I can't deal with this anymore. I don't want to start from ground zero. That's like throwing away something that I treasure.
This episode was produced by me, Philip Johnson. All songs used can be found in the description section of this episode. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe. Also, rate and leave a review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you'd like to become a patron of Psychotropic, or if you'd like to check out some Psychotropic related swag, or if you have a story to share, you can do all of this at psychotropicpodcast.com. If you're interested in getting a sneak peek of an upcoming episode, be sure to follow Psychotropic on Instagram and Twitter. This week's review comes from a listener who goes by the name The Real Big Show, and they say, I first learned of this podcast when Dave from Dopey was a guest. I am very impressed with the production, music, and relevant content. The host offers a non-judgmental view into the subject matter. Please keep going with this podcast. I look forward to new releases. The more war stories, the better. Thanks, The Real Big Show. And as always, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.